Hi, thanks for joining me for this week's Movement and Anatomy. We're going to be working on muscles of the arm and the forearm. So we'll be primarily focused on the action of the muscles and what it feels like in the body. Seeing if we can feel those muscles in action. So we'll start with the anterior surface of the arm with flexion. Flexion at the elbow, drawing the forearm closer up towards the upper arm. So this flexion of the elbow, we find the biceps brachii, which is our larger of the muscles on the anterior surface. Assisting the biceps brachii, we have brachialis and we have brachioradialis. In extension of the elbow, we have triceps brachii, which is on the posterior side of the arm. So they work together, flexion and extension. Now if we move on to our forearms, which I feel like they're often a forgotten about set of muscles in our arms, certainly not ones that we want to pump up particularly. But we have our flexors and extensors on our forearm. So on the flexor side, these muscles flex our wrist. So if we bring the fingers towards the sky, that's our flexion. So we have flexor carpi radialis, which lies along the radial side of the arm, the thumb side. We have flexor carpi ulnaris, which lies along the pinky edge or ulnar side of the arm. We have palmaris longus. These are our more superficial flexors. And deeper to that, we have flexor digitorum superficialis, which flexes the digits 2 through 5. And then deeper to that, we have flexor digitorum profundus, all involved in flexing the wrist. We also have some pronators on this anterior side. We have our pronator teres and our pronator quadratus. They are deep, the deepest muscles down in the forearm, and they're responsible for pronating the wrist. Pronation. So if we pronate the hand, we come to our extensor side of our arm, our posterior side of the arm. We have our extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis, and those are on the radial side of the arm. We have our extensor carpi ulnaris on the ulnar side of the arm. We have extensor digitorum, which extends digits 2 through 5. We have extensor digiti minimi, which extends the pinky side, digit 5. And we also have our supinator, more towards the elbow, which supinates the palm to face more anteriorly. And then we have our hitchhiker muscles for that, the thumb. You have abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. So those are the muscles of your extensors and your flexors. And we're going to do a couple exercises now just to activate those forearm muscles. Notice what you're feeling, where you're feeling it. It's a really good idea. We sit in such a sedentary motion when we are at the computer, or even writing, where we are using the forearm to write, but we're using these smaller little finger muscles, flexor and extensor muscles of the forearm, and if we don't stretch them out, if we don't get the blood flowing to that area, right, they can have less movement. If you don't use it, you lose it. So super important to take the time to increase your flexibility, to work these muscles and keep the fluidity within the wrists. All right, so we're going to come into tabletop. Shoulders right over the wrists, shoulder width distance apart, and hips and knees in line with each other. So if you're already feeling your wrists, they're talking to you, it feels uncomfortable, you can certainly bring the weight back more into the hips and the heels and be a little bit lighter in the palms of the hands. But if it feels okay, you can stack the shoulders right over the wrists. And if you want a little bit more, you can draw those shoulders even a little bit more forward, putting more weight right into those wrists. And you can kind of oscillate in between, noticing what it feels like to you and where you would like to find your stability, your ending point here. So we're going to start by lifting the palms of the hands off the floor and pressing into the base of the finger knuckles. So the fingers are going to stay on, 2 through 5 fingers are going to stay on the ground, and we're pressing those finger knuckles into the ground as we lift the palm of the hand away. Slowly pressing the palm back down to the floor and then slowly lifting the palm up. So we're really flexing right through the finger knuckles, just lifting and lowering. And we're also, so we're pumping the palms. You're dropping the palms down slowly and you're lifting them back up. We start to feel this in our flexors. Okay. The more weight you press into those base of the finger knuckles, the more you're going to start to feel it in the wrists, around those flexors. All right, and then we're going to stop. Just release them from the floor for a moment. Notice, let the palms rest in your hand, and just notice the energy in your arms there, your forearms. Maybe you can roll the wrists around in one direction and in the other direction. And we're going to do a similar exercise, a little bit more intense, so you're welcome to stay a little bit further back on your hips if you're already feeling it in your wrists. But this time you're going to press into the fingertips and lift the palms off the floor. So the more weight we have into those fingertips, the more stress we're placing right into the wrists and the fingers, right? But the more that we press down, so you're pressing down like you're palming a ball, and then lowering back down, you're squeezing, trying to draw the fingers in towards the center and then extend it wide. The more weight we have forward, the more the muscles in those forearms and hands have to work. Right? Good. And then we'll release it. Again, we'll sit back onto the heels and relax the arms into your lap, noticing your forearms as flexors. We're engaging the muscles on the anterior surface of the arm. And they might feel a little bit pumped. All right, we're going to stretch it out a little bit now. So we're going to take the palm up to the sky and then draw the fingers down towards the floor. Stretching right through the anterior part of the arm, stretching through those flexors. It's good to do both sides. Noticing where you feel a stretch, what it feels like. Yeah. We'll release it. And we'll go the opposite direction. We're going to stretch the extensor side. And do the other side. And then take these little wrist circles. So backs of the hands are going to come together. Again, we're flexing the wrists. And then we're going to draw the fingers towards us. And then circle the palms together. And then back around the backs of the hands. So we make this circular motion with the wrists. And what I like about this one is you can put as much pressure onto your hands as you want to, find a little bit more of a stretch. And then we'll reverse that direction. Good. And then we'll release it. Another great one just to get some circulation is to open and close the hands really fast. You'll really start to feel those extensors and flexors, right? Because we're extending and flexing the fingers. And then we'll relax it, shake it out. Roll the shoulders one direction, and then the other direction. And then enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining me.